Thanks for clicking on the video, guys. If you agree with any ideas for improvements to Dauntless that I try to point out in this video, leave a like, and if you enjoyed the video and all that, just hit the subscribe button. Alright. I know I'm new to the scene of content creation when it comes to Dauntless and in general, but I'm not new to the game Dauntless. Just so you guys know where I'm coming from. I was one of those players who jumped into Dauntless at the beginning. I waited in the 3 hour, 4 hour long queues to jump into the game for the first and the second day, and the wait time didn't matter to me because I wanted to play the game. And when I did get on, I farmed as much as I could, got disconnected during the process, but I still waited in the queue, got back online to grind for everything I wanted. And I pretty much ended up completing everything there was to offer in the game, and I logged out to wait for new content. So here I am. I'm back in Dauntless again. And when I first entered Dauntless, after such a long break, I did notice there were drastic changes to the weapon abilities, UI modifications, new behemoths, and even a new mastery system, and all of that looks great. But there's still one glaring issue with the world itself. I don't want to just throw my opinion out there. I want you guys to see what other people who haven't played the game, who haven't had the enjoyment or fulfillment or know anything about Dauntless think. These were some of the comments that was outright on top of IGN's gameplay of Dauntless that was published 5 days ago. And one of the most upvoted comment was, this game looks tedious and lifeless. I'm gonna let you know right now. Let me know how you feel in the comments about that comment, because to me that comment hit this game on the nose. Like, that was one of the main points that I always noticed going into this game. I like the art style, I understood it, but the game itself, it feels lifeless. It used to be Rams in the game, so you spawn in, you see a group of Rams running around. I noticed that was taken out of the game, and Rams are gone completely now. They're in towns, just chilling around, just waiting. But I digress. That's another part I'll get into later on. They also created some new bosses. Some of those bosses weren't the best mechanically, but most of them were. One that I would like to point out is Boris. He's one of the most tedious bosses. He was the boss in the IGN video where they were fighting it, and everybody said that it seems tedious because that's one of the most tedious bosses in the game. You have to pretty much wait for his minions to spawn in order to do damage to him on his immunity phase, and you have to kill those enemies in order to break his immunity. That in itself just breaks the pace of the fight completely, and it kind of ruins it for me because every other boss fight, I'm in the heat of battle, I'm in the moment, I'm killing a behemoth, I'm going hard. But then this boss fight, yeah, I'm in the heat of battle, I'm killing a behemoth, I'm going hard. But wait, you got to take a break real quick, go get a drink of water, kill these two enemies, and come back to start out to reheat that flame that might not be there anymore. It's like, it's kind of really tedious to me. But I'm not just here to talk about those two things. I'm here to talk about the game overall. I know the Shadow Isles, aka the floating islands, have a nice vertical terrain, vents that propel you throughout the map, but the map itself is, like I said before, type bland. And don't get me wrong when I say this, I'm not coming from a place where I'm trying to completely just like shit on the game. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to open up a discussion about improving the game and what to do to help Phoenix Labs move in the right direction. I want them to move to the beat of the players like in Dance Central on a Connect. When you're playing Dance Central on a Connect, you have to move in specific ways to get those perfect notes. I don't want them to be like Dance Dance Revolution on a Wii, where you can sit down on a couch and just swing the remote around and hope to get perfects on a beat. Like, it's I don't want that for this game. So now let's get into the meat of the video. Pause. One of the things that can make this world feel fuller than how it feels now, you can add a type of either wildlife like squirrels that walk around the forest areas and may scurry up trees and disappears when a player walk by, and even a set of walruses in the snow biomes that jump into ice when they spot a player or when a player gets close. A few things like that will give the Shadow Isles more variation. So we're not just peering around looking at empty landscape. Another thing is the Rams. Like I mentioned before, the Rams is something that I noticed a few days after playing the game when I came back. Like I noticed they were gone, and it kind of frustrated me because That was one of the things I really wanted to improve. I wanted them to build off the Rams and somehow implement that into our gameplay. But it seems like that's just become a lost idea, and they was just sent into the nether round to sit in at base with the rest of the players in the World Hub, pretty much. But I have an idea for that too. Bear with me. Alright. Now, what if Rams were rideable? Throw a comment down for that. You know you want to put a comment down for that. What if you could equip armor on Rams? Throw another comment down on that. You know you want to throw a comment. But wait, there's more. What if you could level up the Rams? I know I might be going too far. I might be doing too much. I might be thinking too far ahead. But what if? What if you could do that? But that's something crazy. Let me finish. Let me continue. Let me continue. I'm thinking that at the start of each hunt, what if we spawn in with our Rams and they appear next to us and we're able to ride it into the boss battle? They'll pretty much add nothing new mechanically, but they will just increase our speed to make us go into the fight faster. And when I say no improvements mechanically, I mean like you won't be fighting on the mounts, you'll just be riding it to areas because they aren't fighting mounts. They're not big enough to fight these behemoths. So they'll just be a mode of transportation. But and Rams are somewhat a staple in Dauntless already, so why not go balls deep and just make it a bigger staple than what it is? And I know how I spoke of levels before. The way the levels could work and the way you could level up your Ram is maybe you could gather materials and plants around your Ram, and that EXP goes to your Ram and allows it to level up. And that's something different. And it could also maybe increase the speed you gather or how much you gather, and that in itself is something simple, but it could have a big impact, really big impact. Like if I'm able to ride around on my Ram, stop at a plant, gather all that, and be able to gather more because I have the Ram near me, and I'm able to move faster around the map because I'm using that Ram, I'm using that mount, that adds more to the game. That just adds a new life. Another big point is behemoth variations. I know they're currently working on Shreve and adding more variations between the difficulties. I know that's great, but I would like them to work more on new behemoth types, if you get what I'm saying, because those behemoths they don't really change much move wise, and they don't really add that much variation to the fight. I get we want them to have a different aesthetic and look different. That's great, but I need a different experience. And Dauntless needs more variations between behemoths because a new behemoth equals a new experience mechanically and things like that. Like you experience the game differently with a new behemoth. When I returned, this game already came out with 4 new behemoths: Volmir, Riftstalker, Koshai, and the most recent Boris. And out of 4 of these 3 behemoths, they're great mechanic wise and they're fun to play against, fight against. But for Boris, one of the most recent behemoths, I understand the concept and the idea was there for execution. A behemoth that summons minions, and those minions assist him in battle, and the players have to prioritize who they're attacking. But the execution wasn't good. The fight goes from being in the heat of the moment, hot and heavy, everything's going crazy, to alright, now this boss is immune to your attacks. You gotta stop fighting him, wait for the minions to spawn, kill about 15 minions, break his immunity, and go back into battle just for that to happen again. Honestly, that's to me that's not fun. That's it's more tedious, and if you're grinding him over and over again, it's just monotonous. It gets really boring, and it's something that I usually do without. I've only farmed Boris about 4 or 5 times, and I was mainly for his boots, so it could be part of my set because I like his boots. I like Iceborne. I run with Iceborne because I know the stigma is about Iceborne, but I like it. I like to stay in the heat of the moment. I like to be in the battle. I don't like to take time to step out of the battle, heal, and go back in. I'd rather heal off the damage I'm doing to the enemies or the boss. So that's my choice of armor. But I digress. I'm going and rambling now. But if we did change his minions, how about we make Boris more like Skarn? You see how Skarn has gaps in his armor and you could still hit him through the rocks on his body, what if we had patches of ice and we could still attack them through the patches of ice? That would help a lot more and keep the battle flowing than just making him completely immune to damage and the player not being able to do anything. Why not have the player be able to still do damage and attempt to overwhelm the player with minions? So if they don't kill those minions, if they don't deviate their focus in the heat of the battle just for a second to kill a few minions, they will overrun them. They'll be overrun by annoying pokes from the ice spitters from a distance. They'll be annoyed by the exploders that just sneak up on you and blow up. They'll be annoyed by all the rest of the minions, but they'll still be able to stay in the heat of the battle. And yeah, we can still keep the buff where if you kill a minion, you get a damage buff that applies to the boss. Make that damage buff apply to the little ice part that we have, the patches that could be added to the boss, and that the mechanic will stay there, but it will change slightly. But that's just the ideas of a man in the do-rag. All I'm saying is I think the game is more improvements that could be done, especially with its console release right around the corner. A lot of people are staring at this game. A lot of people are looking at this game, and it's few of the games in this genre. Monster Hunter, Dauntless, and any other game you could write down in the comments. Let me know. But those are the two games that I see. The big boss hunting games like Monster Hunter itself, and this Dauntless. If you guys like some of the ideas I presented in the video, just leave a like, and once I get to 15 likes, I'll throw out my next video. It'll be on UI changes because I already know we don't have an inventory. It's hard for us to track our elemental crystals after farming, so I'll catch you guys later.